Hello and welcome to Bryan Living and Learning. I'm Sandy Ferris with Bryan ISD. Today we'll hear about some long-term economic development for the City of Bryan. We'll show you a new recognition program we have for outstanding students, and we'll introduce you to our newest Board of Trustees member for Bryan ISD. First, we want to show you some recent Veterans Day programs. Veterans Day is always a busy time for our students.
When I was young, we never had it. I mean, you hear about veterans like from your father or grandfather, but you never really associated anything with it. I mean, it was just something you read about in a book or heard from your relatives or friends. But this way, the students get to see the veterans and they learn about veterans and the importance of the veterans and fighting for our country. There's much more public awareness about it now, and I think this really helps connect with the students.
It's always good to remember the past and recognize people that sacrifice parts of their lives so that you can have freedoms.
I think it's important for them so that way they know what our generation or their parents or their grandparents went through to get them to where they're at as far as their education and their freedom.
And even that year back, 6 months of that, we were training to go to Afghanistan ahead of rotation.
For the kids, it's important because it shows the kids that there are people out there willing to fight for their freedom, willing to fight for the nation's freedom, so we can continue on with what we have.
And these are the ones who enable us to be able to call America the home of the free, because of your bravery. At this moment, I know you've already clapped a little bit. I want you to pretend that this is that A&M Alabama game.
Veterans Day is a day where we celebrate people who took out time in their life and they fought for us to have schools, freedom, and all these good things that the world has given us. And I appreciate that.
They gave up their time with their family to be able to come up us, and that just by itself is like, I very appreciate that, because I don't know what I'd do if I had to give time with my family to go serve. So I'd like to thank them for that.
It's very hard, especially when you're overseas and you're away from your kids, and it's just, it touches my heart that they have the willpower to fight for something that they love.
Economic development is an important issue for all cities to consider. The City of Bryan is no different.
Hello, I'm Mary Lynn Strada with the City of Bryan, and welcome to Living the Good Life. Today we have two very special gentlemen with us, Dennis Gehring and Kevin Russell, who are very important to the continued economic development and welfare of the City of Bryan. Welcome, gentlemen, and will you start off telling us a little bit about yourself and your time here at the City and what your duties and responsibilities are here at the City of Bryan?
Great. I'm Dennis Gehring, and I came on board with the City of Bryan and the BBC in September of 2005. So I've had an opportunity to be here and participate in the economic growth that we are enjoying today.
My name is Kevin Russell. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Bryan. I have been with the City of Bryan for almost 21 years. I started as a code enforcement officer, and my last position before the economic development position was with the development services, which gave me an opportunity to be involved in economic development and build a lot of relationships in that realm of what we do as a city. And I'm just excited about the opportunity to work with Dennis as his role with the Bryan Business Council and pulling the Bryan Business Council and the city together so that we're working for one common goal, and that is to make the City of Bryan as successful as possible.
Dennis, tell us a little bit about the Bryan Business Council and what they do.
Well, the Bryan Business Council, it consists of 9 board members, and it has been in existence since the early 80s. And our primary role is to be a part of the economic growth. And I have a mission statement here that I could read, but more importantly, it's a function of us seeking and going out and trying to attract industry of all kind. And I look at economic development as like the sum of the aggregate, like the spoke of a wheel. Every spoke, and if you look at the economy, every spoke that has anything to do with the dollar or business is part of economic development. And you add that together, and the sum of that aggregate is really what the city's all about. Cities have got to grow just like businesses. And if the cities continue to grow, that will inspire other things to happen. And I will say to you, success breeds success. And I think we've seen this in the last several years, because we've not had that kind of growth as we have had in a few prior years. But you know, it's a function of everybody working together as a team, building relationships outside the city, and integrating with people who have an interest in coming to Bryan, and then helping them get in here. And that's where the city and Kevin and all of us have an opportunity to piece that together, to get them started and get them going.
So it's multifaceted. There's many components to it. We create jobs, good paying jobs with benefits. We increase the property valuation on property taxes, and sometimes sales tax revenue as well.
You know, Dennis was talking very large scale development, which is what grabs most of the headlines when press releases are gone. The Walmart deal, the Health Science Center, and the Bio Corridor and things like that. But there's many smaller ones that I'm not going to say fly under the radar, but don't get the notoriety of those. And some of those are the housing developments that we've been involved in, and I think we'll continue to get more involved in.
Well, it seems like it's working very well, because I know, Dennis, you're a big picture thinker, you're very visionary, and Kevin, you are as well, but you also come with the background of knowing the building codes, the zoning ordinances. Right. You're sort of the rules guy, if you will, which is important.
It is.
In any local government.
It is. It is. It helps. I think where it helps the most is getting things steered in the direction to where it will work. You know, obviously, if you're wanting to put a big industrial development, it's not going to work in certain parts of our town. Although there may be property available, it's not going to work because of what's around it. So it's important to know those things, and just to have the relationship with the folks inside the city to know who to call about what question really helps. Get folks answers that most of the time, the guys we talk to outside of our organization, they're trying to make a decision. What they want to know is, can I check them off? Not can I check them so that we can come here. It's they didn't give me the answer X, I'm out of here. I don't have to fool with them anymore. So what we try to do is we try to get them answers so that we don't get the check. But having Dennis being able to speak the language of a lot of the industrial developers and things like that with the rail and certain things that I'm not as familiar with, but then I can come in at the right time to talk about city processes, building codes, zoning, different things like that. it's a good approach, and it seems to be working really well.
I guess we'll have to start calling you two the Eco-Devo Duo then.
Well, that'd be great with us.
Let me ask you, do you think that economic incentives, economic development incentives are necessary and important for continued development here in the city of Bryan?
I do. We both agree on that in spades.
Kevin, can you elaborate a little bit about the West Side development, the shopping retail area that will include a Walmart? And I hope you'll set the record straight for our viewers that the city of Bryan did not provide incentives to Walmart to come into the West Side of Bryan.
What Cross Fulton got in this deal was an agreement with the city to reimburse them up to $5 million on sales tax. Only on the sales tax. There is no other incentive. They have to bring in projects, retail, restaurants, whatever it is that will generate sales tax. If they bring nothing in, they get nothing. If they bring it in and they make money, we make money and they make money. Currently today, that property is generating zero in sales tax and very little in ad valorem, so we get it on both sides. Walmart is a landowner. Walmart purchased 21 acres out of that 51 acres, and they are a landowner. We've never talked to Walmart. We're talking to them now because they're trying to get a building built, but we have never talked to Walmart about any incentives. All of our communication has been with Cross Fulton Development Company, and that's who our deal is with. And they sold it. They sold 21 acres to Walmart. They have another approximately 25 or 26 acres left that will have, there's no telling what kind of retail they'll have out there. We would like to be able to bring in enough sales tax and new ad valorem so that
that'll be about $30 million worth of value out there. So that adds to our tax base.
Right.
And that's not only good for the city of Bryan, that's good for the Bryan ISD and Brazos County.
Right, that's right.
So new property taxes on the ground.
But there's one big caveat that we need to make clear. We need to make sure everyone's aware of. One of the things that we were very concerned about was cannibalism. So if the new Walmart came on the west side of town, was it going to take was half or the majority of their customers going to leave the Briarcrest location and start shopping over there? So we made sure we put in the agreement that if this Walmart, our current Walmart, loses any sales tax dollars, then what their reimbursement is reduced by that amount, so that we don't stand a chance to lose what we've got.
So the economic incentive that's being offered to the developer would be on totally new sales tax dollars that we would not have otherwise, and we'll be rebating a portion of that until we reach a certain time limit or an amount. So it's all new revenue, either way you look at it.
It's half of it.
Half of it. Yeah. So that sounds like a good deal for everybody.
Yep.
And we've enjoyed the opportunity to hear about some of these economic development projects that are going on, and it's really apparent that you two contribute greatly to making the city of Bryan a great place to live, work, do business, and you are so much appreciated, everything the two of you are doing. It's great to see you working together, and we're going to start calling you that Eco-Devo Duo.
You know what the best part is? We're having fun, and it's really fun to make things happen like this.
So we appreciate everything you do, and we appreciate you joining us for Living the Good Life.
In addition to the Veterans Day programs we told you about earlier, a number of our 5th graders attended the Field of Valor at Veterans Park, compliments of the Bryan Rotary Club.
This is Field of Valor. It's sponsored by the Bryan Rotarian Club. There are 10 stations that are set up that take them through the major wars of U.S. history. They start with everything from the American Revolution. They go through the War of 1812, all the way to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And so there are 10 of them. One of the kids' favorite stations is the Rubbings, that they actually get to look at the bricks on the ground and do rubbings. Is one of the favorite ones, the stations. stations. These are 9 elementary schools have come out. They're 5th graders, which in 5th grade and social studies, they study U.S. history from beginning to end, from the explorers to present day. And so this is a great thing that takes them through that U.S. history, these stations. The curriculum was written and it aligns with the standards that the students study, so it really takes them through their 5th grade year. They have studied only partial things up until this point that they visited, so it sort of gives them a precursor to what they're going to get their second half of U.S. history in the 5th grade.
H.W. Bush, and at the time of this statue, he was our youngest pilot in the American service.
Well, the Bryan Rotary Club is a service organization, and we have the motto, service above self. So one of the things we wanted to do this year is really honor all of our veterans and our first responders with this field of 1,000 flags. And we thought, well, if we're going to have the flags here, we want to utilize Veterans Park. And so the Bryan Rotary Club has a long-standing tradition of educational support. And so we thought, how can we incorporate an educational element into this flag display? And so we came out and toured the park. We developed this program over about a year of planning. We had a committee of about 5 to 10 that worked on it actively. And the first idea was just to have a student element, and we decided how many students could we accommodate at one time, and we broke that down into our stations. And then my husband and I, my husband's a history teacher, we came up with all the scripts. We based it on kind of the curriculum for the state of Texas and what was offered out here at the park that we could really capitalize on, that they're not going to get in the classroom. We wanted it to be experiential. We wanted them to see the statues. What can we pull from the statues, from the bricks, just from the atmosphere? The Civil War site has a special fence that we thought would be really cool to do the north and south. So it's really kind of how can we use the elements at the park for an experiential tour for students. And we picked 5th grade because we know that's when they start learning U.S. history, and they're at a good age where they can make the trek for an hour through the park.
BTU is continuing to be a good community partner, this time with Habitat for Humanity as they work together to provide a new home for a Bryan family.
Today we're out at the Faith Subdivision partnering with Habitat for Humanity and Citibank, and BTU is here to help the Carson family do a wall raising ceremony for their brand new home. We expect to have final completion at the end of January, perhaps the 1st of February, depending upon weather. We're excited. We've got a ton of volunteers out here today, and by the end of the day we'll have the walls up and the trusses up, and the Carson family will be one step closer to a brand new home out here in the Faith Subdivision.
Before the wall raising took place, an opening ceremony was held where the Carson family got a chance to thank all those who made their dreams a reality.
I'd like to say good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming out. And a special thanks to all our sponsors and everyone that had a part in it. And most of all, we'd like to thank Habitat for choosing us, and not only us, all other families that are, going to be able to be blessed with a home. Words can't express how glad we are. Just happy for everyone to be out. We ask for everyone's prayers and blessings on the whole community. I'd like to say thank you once again.
And after the ceremony, it was time to build a house.
Yeah.
A new program in the district to recognize and encourage citizenship in our students is Student of Character.
The District Student of Character Award began this fall. It was a way for the elementary campuses to come together and streamline the process on how they choose their Good Citizenship Award each 6 weeks. We chose the word character because counselors are teaching lessons in the classrooms, and they talk about students having good character. When we talk about good character, it's all-encompassing. It talks about being respectful, being good citizens, being honest, and we felt like this was a word that the students are using on a daily basis. So now as students receive these awards, they truly understand what it means to have good character. When they explain it to their parents, they should be able to understand and explain that I have good character. When the students receive these awards, we are choosing 2 per month at each elementary campuses, and the students are presented these amazing Student of Character awards either at their monthly or 6 weeks assemblies or during the morning announcements, and the students receive a yard sign, and that yard sign goes in their yard. It's for them to keep, and it talks about the Bryan ISD good citizens or good character.
Grade, and we have a 5th grade recognition this month, or for November, and it goes to a student from the Saracano's room, Guadalupe Hernandez.
We felt like we needed some kind of guidelines to go by. So we developed a rubric and even kind of a survey for the older, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders to use so they could see, you know, this is a sign that I have good character. This is a sign that I have good character. And so they know what the expectations are, and hopefully it's leading more students towards that process of being good characters.
Bryan ISD has a new Board of Trustees member. I sat down with Tommy Basquez to find out more about him and his passion to serve. We wanted to introduce you today to our newest Bryan School Board member, Tommy Basquez, who is taking over the position that was vacated by Merrill Green, who decided not to run again. So welcome, Tommy. Let us hear a little bit about your background. Tell us about where you went to school and how you ended up where you are now.
Well, I'm born and raised here in Bryan and went to Bryan schools, and actually graduated in 1980 from Bryan High School, and from there I went on scholarship to Blaine College over in Brenham, spent 2 years there, and then transferred over to Texas A&M and got my bachelor's degree in political science, and then later on my master's in public administration. So I've pretty much remained here in the Brazos Valley, and I guess you could say all my schooling has been right here.
Okay, so you graduated in 1980, so I guess Bryan High must have changed a little bit since then.
Yes, it's grown. The structure itself has expanded. A lot of the programs that are being offered, I think they're just awesome, because many of those programs weren't available when I was in school. I did have the fortune of being a part of the ROTC program and the athletic program, and so you know, that I think was very helpful and instrumental in my development over the years. So you know, I'm glad to be able to come back from being in the classroom to be in the boardroom, and so I'm pretty excited right now.
Tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, my family, my wife Stella, she and I have actually, we've been together not since high school but since middle school, and we have 2 daughters. Both have gone through the Bryan schools, and in fact my youngest is a junior at Bryan High School and part of the Viking Band and Key Club, and then my oldest is an honor graduate from Bryan High, and she went on to Trinity University in San Antonio, and she's getting ready to graduate in May. So that's another thing that we're pretty excited about.
Oh, good. Now, you have run for school board a couple of times and elected this time. Tell me a little bit about your what made you want to run?
Well, if anyone knows me, you know, I've always said over and over that, you know, one of my strengths is persistence, and I stay on task, I stay committed and focused, and I've always been interested in public education. You know, as a professional, I'm in higher education, but, you know, I've been involved in a lot of programs that, if you will, considered the pipeline from public education through college and university, and then on to professional school. And so I've always been intrigued in you know, some of the things that we could do as a community to help our students, and I'm all about helping our students and supporting our teachers. And so, you know, I've run before in the past, and that was again just something that I've always wanted to do. And I knew the time would come sooner or later, and of course it's just a little bit later, but nonetheless I'm prepared and ready to work for the people of Bryan and to help our Bryan schools.
Well, we know that the legislature is gearing up to meet again, and education is going to be a big topic for them. What do you think are some of the bigger issues facing public education now?
Well, I think that the funding issue is certainly it's a critical issue, and very much so the legislature, when they decided to cut the budget across the state for public education, it put us in a crisis. There's no doubt about it. The resources that are available to our public schools are very precious, and we need all that we can get, and particularly because our students today, they're global students, and so we need to make certain that, you know, whether it's programs or it's the teaching abilities, the professional development of our teachers, making sure that the right programs are available, whether a student wants to enter the workforce immediately after graduation, or if they're looking to go into higher ed. We want to be able to make certain that we do everything that we can to make certain that our students have a quality education. I know that our teachers are, you know, they're doing the best job that they can, but oftentimes they're the focal point of helping develop students from even a social aspect. And so, you know, my part of I think that in terms of an issue is to bring the community together, and I think as one community we can help our teachers to support them, reinforce, so that, you know, when students before they arrive on our campus and when they're on our campuses and when they leave our campuses, that they'll be citizen ready and be able to contribute back to, you know, the Brazos Valley if they decide to remain here and raise a family.
Mm-hmm. So as a school board member, you will be more or less an ambassador for the district for the next several years. As you're out and about, what would you tell somebody is one of the strengths of Bryan ISD?
Well, I think it's something that not just being on the board, but I've been doing this for years, and that is that Bryan schools, that they are really good at what they do, and I think that over the coming years that my ambassadorship is to continue to visit with people and share with them a lot of the wonderful things that are happening, but also to encourage them to become involved, to mobilize them to use their energies to help. Because it really takes a community, and Bryan schools are the heart of our community, and so my serving on the board, I hope to be able to engage others and encourage dialogue and to come up with ways that we can make our schools better, because I really believe that there's a brighter future for Bryan schools, and so my being on the board is to be able to add value to that process and to contribute, but I know that you know, we're going to need a lot of support from our community, and the best way to do that is to visit with the folks out there, and I've done that before, and I'm going to continue to do it, but I'll be just doing it in a little bit of a different format as a trustee to be able to encourage them to do whatever they can to make our schools better.
That's all the time we have for you today on Bryan Living and Learning. As always, we want to remind you to check with the Bryan Animal Shelter and see if you can find your new best friend. I'm Sandy Ferris. Thanks for watching.